My name is Graham Foster. I'm the Director of Addiction Recovery Centre. In this video, I want to show you how addiction takes control of our brains and our lives. Find out how thoughts, followed by behaviours, build up over time to create a whole network that takes over control of a person and turns them into addicts and alcoholics. Our brains contain around 86 billion neurons. These neurons connect together every time we learn or engage in language and cognition. Networks of neurons connect together to form patterns that make up our language and cognition, including our personality, our opinions, our beliefs, thoughts and feelings. To map out and understand this process in detail is such a huge task, it is difficult to even imagine. However, sometimes it is extremely useful to see a very simplified graphical representation of these patterns to see how they control our emotions and, probably more importantly, our behaviours. The process starts with a thought. It can be a thought or an idea about ourselves in relation to others, or it can be a thought about a feeling we are experiencing. These thoughts then lead to thoughts about a behaviour. In this case, the behaviour of drinking and using. If we constantly act on this behaviour repeatedly, then the thought is locked into the subsequent behaviour. Add to that the rewards we experience as a consequence of this behaviour, such as social acceptance and the relief of unpleasant feelings such as anxiety and stress, and even pleasant sensations like getting drunk or high, then the thought and the behaviour is locked into a reliable reward. And so, it can end up that literally most of our thoughts automatically lead straight to the behaviour of drinking and using. This can become so locked in and strong that this can happen even when it becomes self-harming. It's as though the process has taken over completely and we have lost all choice and control. After a while, we add an extra link to our reasons to use and drink, which is to relieve the symptoms of withdrawals. Also, a new thought appears, which is that one day in the future we will sort this problem out and stop drinking or using. This one promise takes care of all the reasons that come up about why we shouldn't drink or use just right now, and because it takes care of them all with a comforting promise, then we continue behaving automatically with nothing being able to interrupt the automation, leaving us with no genuine choice or control. Here's the thing. This animated graphical example is simply an example of what happens in the brain regarding addiction in only 2 minutes. This 2 minutes of thought processing. Think about the reality of what the patterns look like in the brain, not after just 2 minutes, but what does the pattern look like after 2 hours? How complex is this pattern after a couple of hours of constant repetition? How big is this after 2 days, or 2 weeks, or 2 months? How massive, complex and consuming does this collection of patterns become after 2 years of addiction? How about 5 years? 10 years? Now we're in recovery and we have found a way to stay clean and sober a day at a time. What do you think happens to this massive, complex pattern of neurons in our brain? You think it will disappear, never to be lit up and bother us again? How long do you think it might take for this to happen? A month? A year? A decade? 3 decades? Ever? Whenever a person who has developed this huge pattern of neurons in their brains takes a drink or uses a drug again, this huge cognitive network seems to light up like a Christmas tree. And that person falls back into full-blown addiction or alcoholism very quickly, no matter how long ago they got clean and sober. Staying clean and sober long term is extremely difficult and requires 10 or even 100 times more consistent effort than we think. It's really, 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 really difficult. It is a can-do, but it's really difficult.